Okay, cleaned up around all the ports best I could. There's one spot there that looks like I need to touch up, but I wanted to show you that the sender was replaced. It's replaced with a junk aluminum one. Weighs about half of what the original one did, but I'm doing this a little bit of a video to show I did it, and here is the #1 injector I replaced, and you know it's obviously not as clean as them, and I have the other one buried here. So I did replace it. The biggest thing though is, you know, I wasn't for sure on these. Got to get out of the sunlight. I didn't know if these are original or not, or have been off before, but you can see there's a couple of wavy spots in them. I'm not saying it was leaking, but I'm not so sure. This one's a little thin right in there, that it was going to hold, you know, for any amount of time. That one actually has a bit of oil at the bottom. So anyway, this is one of the reasons. I know they're 50 bucks. That's the problem with replacing some of this stuff, is like, you know, but you can see some of those are bent over and stuff. It's just a good idea to replace them. Now I did do something else. I don't normally do to somebody else's stuff unless they tell me to do it. However, that is still a Duralast part, that oil sending unit. Is it going to work? Is it going to last? Is it going to do anything, you know, right? I don't know. So what I did, which again, I don't normally do this to somebody's stuff, but that cover that was over the back of that intake manifold stopping you from getting everything is only held on by one bolt, and it's got the rubber hose going to the brake diaphragm, goes through it. I took that off the back of the intake manifold, and that makes a tremendous amount more space where you can get your hand back in there to get to that sender if you need to do it again. I still don't think this engine is going to be any good, so I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One is so that I can get to it, and B, that we can get to that particular thing if we need to. But by taking some of this stuff off, I know some of you are probably saying, why did you spend the time taking that off? You could have reached that, you could have done this, and you're right, I possibly could have fought this and got this off, and I only did have to take the 2 bolts off of this side and raise these 4 out to get this one injector out. So you could do it while it was in the vehicle, obviously, and it's been done before. I think I've even done it before, but I wanted to check the manifold gaskets. I needed to be able to get to that thing and make sure it was right, and I'm glad I did, because like typical Chinese stuff, I could not get that wire to plug into it. And had I been fighting that over top of that, I'd have been pretty aggravated. What I ended up having to do was one of the prongs is bent just a little bit, and I straightened it up, and then I had to really lube the heck out of that rubber piece, because it's like that hole isn't quite as big a diameter for that to slide in. Now it's the right sender. I double checked the part number myself, but and I took it back out and then plugged it in. Well, of course, by putting it in and taking it back out, then that ruined it's a little bit of sealing it had, so I had to put some Teflon tape and stuff on it before I put it back in. I'm just telling you that because just because I could have done it a little easier doesn't mean it was going to be easier, and sure enough, that's the case. I checked the wiring harness. It's still in plastic. It still looks good. Nothing's been jerked, pulled, reworked, you know, or chewed on. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to fix this problem. However, this is why you look this stuff over while you have it off. This line here goes to the back, to the driver's side valve cover. There's a port. You can't see it. It's actually buried back here where you can't see it, but there actually is a port that it hooks to. There's one in the front. It's this one here on this side of this valve cover, and it hooks to a line I've laid out of the way. But either way, that goes into the, I think that one goes into the box. Yeah, that one goes into the throttle, or to the box. But this one here, the one that hooks to this valve cover, goes into the intake manifold. Now I don't know if it's part of the purge system and only opens every once in a while, or whether it's a direct vacuum pull all the time. I've never really checked. But look at the other side of this hose. I don't know if you can see that, but that thing is cracked top to bottom. So if that's actually a full vacuum all the time, or even part of the time, that's going to cause a vacuum leak and will throw codes. Not only will it run like garbage, but it'll also throw codes. So I'm glad I checked this. So I'm going to take this off and see if they have one. I can just use a regular hose, but that's actually kind of bent at a funny angle. I'm going to go ahead and check my stash, because these are kind of the same as what come off of the Gen 3s. I'm not sure it's exactly the same, but I'm going to try to find it. I can turn this thing around there a little bit better. You can see there. I mean, it's cracked all the way, you know, from here all the way up over halfway. So it's definitely no good. This is why, you know, you need to check all that stuff, because little things like that will cause these things to run like garbage and throw codes, and you'll start replacing stuff because it says it's running lean, it's running fat, it's running all kinds of things, and it may just be a stinking rubber hose with a hole in it, or wasn't hooked up, whether it be an accident or fell off or got chewed up by a mouse or whatever. And I say that because if these things sit any amount of time, hence the avalanche, there was a lot of stuff that was chewed up on it and fixed very poorly. One of the injector wires was actually cut eight and a half, and then they just spliced them back together with a couple of yellow butt connectors, and that's what you get, or blue, or whatever color they were. So anyway, be apprised of that when you're looking and doing diagnosis on things. It's not going to always tell you. It may even tell you it's got a vacuum leak, a large leak, a small leak. Don't confuse that with a leak on the EGR system, because although this is part of the EGR system, it's not hooked directly to like the purge valve, or it's not hooked directly to you know, that kind of stuff, but it is drawing vacuum, you know, manifold vacuum. So it could throw a code for various different reasons. So always check it. I already checked the one that goes to the, you know, the brake pot, and it's fine, to the brake booster, and it's fine. It's not damaged anyway. So I'm going to see if I can find that piece and get after it. I still have to order an airbag sensor. The injector was $65 or $70, which I expected that. Intake gaskets were $50. The sender was $50. So I think right now, with the parts I ordered for the bumper, I did order the chin, I ordered that, and I ordered this. Rock Auto was actually kind of high, especially on this piece, by almost double what I paid for it on eBay. So I know theirs said it was genuine GM, so I may fight that a little bit, but to me, you're never going to see it. So if you have to modify it a little bit, you're not really, you know, it's not like, oh no, you know, this is a door or a fender, or, you know, a wheel or something like that. It's just an old piece of plastic. So, all right, I'm going to get off here, and I'm going to start putting this intake manifold back on. I'm going to plug the old airbag sensor back in, because I'm just going to let it hang there, but I just don't want it to go. I don't think it'll go off by it not being plugged in, but I don't want anything, you know. So anyway, next time you see it, I'm hopefully going to start it up and see if we can get this cylinder to clean up and pick up, and I'll let it run and heat up and see if it still smokes real bad. I'm not smelling a lot of gas in the oil, but I do smell a little, so we'll need an oil change. I'm going to ask him what he puts in it, and I will change the oil, and we will go from there. If I can get this fixed for under $500, guys, you know, with everything, and they didn't ask me to do the body work, they didn't ask me to replace the airbag sensor, so if they really didn't want me to do it and they don't want me to mess with it, I won't charge them anything for it, because I took this upon myself. I feel a safety device, I don't know how these work, I really needed to research this, but I have been told if the airbag light is on, whether it's got a bad sensor or bad whatever, it shuts the entire system off. Now, I don't know if that's a fact, but I wouldn't want my family riding in something that they expect something to work and it doesn't, and especially a safety device. So in my eyes, I would rather take a $50, $60, you know, cut and make sure that this thing left safe. And so that's how I feel about it. And you know, just keep that in mind. If I was driving it for myself and nobody else was ever going to drive it, I could possibly care less. Although I hate the dash looking like a Christmas tree with every light lit up you could possibly, airbag and SRS and check engine and brake lights, and I mean, I've seen so many of them getting in there. A friend of mine's got a pickup, he drives down dirt roads. He's bought it new. It looks, he pulls up in there and he's glowing different colors because every light on the dash is on. And I couldn't drive something, I just couldn't drive something like that. But it's me, you know, I understand people don't always have the means to fix stuff, but you know, in the same token, I'd put electrical tape or something before I would drive something like that. Now, this would be if I'm driving it. I wouldn't send it out that way. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm tired of talking about it, so see ya.